So I'm going to ask those of you that are already on, if you'll type in the chat, how has being with Keller Williams changed your life? Whoever brought you in, what are some of the benefits that you've had from someone introducing you to Keller Williams? So if you'll put that in the chat, we'll kind of start with that. And I'll try to watch for the chat. Okay, opportunity. Stephanie says opportunity. Absolutely. Oh, another one. Christine said opportunity also. Absolutely. Yes, absolutely. Opportunity, opportunity, opportunity. And don't we love that? Got a great ring. So if you're just jumping on, how has Keller Williams changed your life? Ron says work-life balance. Kathy says capping has allowed me to save more money towards retirement. Absolutely. Someone said KW has given me the opportunity to build a business and a life in the way I wish to live it. Absolutely. Because if we don't design our life, somebody or something else does, right? Learning experiences. Absolutely. We have tons of those. Matthew said the training and support has kept me in the business and helped me create a business. Absolutely. And someone said, is it Rain? Is that correct? What a cute name. Says, I'm new, but I'm sure I'll find out. Yes, absolutely. Awesome. Good deal. So the reason I want to start with this, are we okay to go ahead and start?
We are.
Yeah, okay, good. So the reason I wanted to start with this is because I think we all can, as we continue to take advantage of Keller Williams opportunities, we can see places in our own life that Keller Williams has changed our life. And let's stick these earphones in real quick. And what I want us to do is ask ourselves, who are we to decide that that's enough lives changed, right? I can list 1,000 things of how Keller Williams has changed my life, making me think bigger, opportunity I would have never gotten to do before or see before, be around other amazing people that I've built great relationships with, and even bled over into my children on helping them understand about having big lives. And, even to the point of teaching them about victim and accountability and things like that. I don't think they liked that one too much, but it was stuff that I was learning at Keller Williams that I could then take and share with them and teach them things I wish I had learned at an earlier age. And so that's what Profit Share really is. It's building wealth while you're changing lives. It's not just building wealth around people, but you get the opportunity to change other people's lives, just like your life and my life was changed. So let me kind of share with you a little bit about my story around Profit Share, because a lot of times when people hear, oh, we've made like almost $1.5 million in Keller Williams Profit Share, they immediately think, oh, you must have really came for Profit Share. You must have got Profit Share early on. And the truth is we really didn't. I didn't even let anybody in Keller Williams talk to me about Profit Share for like the first 4 years. And so I'm going to kind of share with you what our journey looked like. And I do think our journey helped me be more ready for a message about Profit Share, but I didn't get Profit Share right off the bat. And so I always like to say it's never too late to wake up and take advantage of it. But early in my career, in the very beginning of my career, my husband was in the restaurant and nightclub business. And I'm in my mid-20s then. I always like to say I didn't even know what the word economy meant, much less is it a good one? Is it a bad one? Is it up? Is it down? But all of a sudden I knew something was wrong because my husband didn't want to sleep at night. He said he didn't want to go to sleep because if you go to sleep too soon and you owe banks money, they call very early in the morning. So what he would come clean with me and let me understand is that we had actually sold one of our restaurants and nightclubs for $600,000 less than what we owed against it. So literally we went from one day, everything was, I always like to say when I teach fears, because I love to teach fierce conversations, gradually and then suddenly. Those are your wake-up calls. And unfortunately, we don't wake up until the suddenly. We don't see the gradually a lot of times in our life. And so things got really hard. We had to downsize in our car. We had to do without a lot of things. We had to really buckle down because now we owed all this money. And so I think when you're that far into a situation and you're as young as I was and didn't understand, in any of that stuff. The only thing you can do is look around to other people and say, what do you think I should do? Because my husband said to me, I really need your help in climbing out of this debt. And because I had never made more than minimum wage, I was in the middle of going to college because I didn't go to college right out of high school because no one in my family had ever gone to college. So college didn't even enter my mind. And I'm not very far into college, probably about halfway, when all of a sudden we're $600,000 in debt. And I'm not seeing anything at college that's going to help me get out of this debt. So I looked at Jimmy, and I always like to say I've been married to Jimmy 39 years. I don't wake up every day and go, Jimmy, what do you think I should do today? I do what I think I should do. And I don't bother to ask anybody else what they think I should do. But that day, because it was so overwhelming, I asked him, what did he think that I should do? I said, I'm a hard worker. I've always had 2 and 3 jobs my whole life. But other than waitressing and bartending for your nightclubs, I've never made more than minimum wage. So what do you think I could do to help get out of this situation? And he said, you know what? A mentor of mine a long time ago said, if you want to make a lot of money, real estate is the way to do it. Now, I've since learned that that man was actually a developer in Dallas and a big builder in Dallas. I don't think he was saying, you know what? Find you a wife, get her a real estate license, and you guys will be rich forever. I don't think that was the message. I think the message was someday buy some real estate or invest in real estate. But whatever the real message was, I'm super glad that Jimmy got it wrong, because that caused me to get my real estate license thinking I was going to make us rich. And by the way, in a lot of ways, it was a perfect fit because I am a hard worker. I'm very tenacious, and I wasn't going to quit till I figured out how to make money in real estate. And I had a big have to. So only made $3,000 gross my first year. So surely you've made more than that in your first year, Rain, you're new. So surely you're going to do better than that, I hope, with all the training and stuff that we have. But it was really figuring it out that I realized that if you want to do something in life, people out there have the answers. I just got to go find those people and do what they tell me to do. And that's what I did. Someone paid for me to go to a real estate seminar, and it changed everything for me because it made me realize that lots of people out there were making a lot of money in real estate. It wasn't me, but they were. And if I could just figure out what they did and go do it, then I would be able to make a lot of money also. So that's what I did. I started becoming an avid student and learner of how do you make money in real estate. Fast forward, I built a team, took it to the 7th level. But about 4 years into my real estate business, I had a really, really, really bad transaction. And I always like to say, if you haven't had one of these yet, it's coming. Sorry, Rain, it's coming. And you'll know it's a bad day in real estate when you go get your resume out of your drawer, you dust it off and you look at it. And that's what I did that day. It was a horrible day. I hated the business that day. It was just one thing after another. And when I looked at that resume, thank God it would only bring me minimum wage, because it forced me to put that resume back in the drawer and say, okay, I'm going to give this real estate thing a little bit longer, but I want to build wealth faster. So what is this profit share thing that Keller Williams keeps talking about? And it was because of that really bad day that I went to someone in Keller Williams and I said, look, if I was going to do this, I want to do it big. How would somebody make $1 million in Keller Williams profit share? Now, I'm sure that person thought, good Lord, she ain't made $1 hardly yet, and she wanted to make $1 million. And the truth is, that person didn't even have to blink an eye and think about it. They immediately rattled off to me that I needed to go get 20 people, help 20 get 20, and get 5,000 total. And I had no idea if it was right, wrong, or indifferent, but I flipped up my Nokia phone. I put it in my phone and I looked at it every single day when I flip up my phone. Get 20, help 20, 5,000 total. So fast forward, I'm in Gary's top mastermind because I'm the #1 agent in the city, in the company at the time. And Gary has always done masterminds with his top people. And we're going around the room and we're talking about standalone businesses that we can do that would be a multiple stream of income. And so by the time it gets around to me, I'm in the very last seat sitting next to Dave Jinks and across from Gary. And when it gets to me, there's nothing left. There's no mortgage, there's no title, there's no insurance, there's no home inspection. Everything has been taken. I don't know what I'm going to pick. And so Gary or Dave, one of them decides that a good idea would be for me to teach to treat profit share as if it was a standalone business. So I thought, you know what, anything sounds good 4 months from now. So I said, sign me up for profit share. I had no idea where the money came from. I had no idea how to figure out what, if I brought someone to the company, I would actually get. I was clueless, but I had a topic, right? So as soon as that I'd committed to that, I immediately thought, oh crap, I don't know anything. How am I going to figure this out? So I found a person in the company that understood where profit share came from, how to do a pro forma, and I got busy and I did the pro forma. And it was from doing that pro forma that I realized this is a big deal. This is not a little deal. And if I'm going to be a leader in this company, then I need to make sure that I understand it and that I help other people understand it and take advantage of it. And so that kind of began the real journey. I made a check out to myself from Gary Keller for $1 million, hung it outside my office, and I passed it every single day. And it took another 8 years, but in that 8 years, it's what it took of solid focus to eventually get to that $1 million in profit share. So I kind of want to share with you, because I remember myself that I had a lot of limiting beliefs about profit share. I thought it was something hoaxy. It was like an MLM, and I wasn't interested in that. I thought 50 more houses or 100 more houses was going to solve all my problems. I really had a lot of limiting thinking around profit share. So what I want to do is share some of the limiting beliefs that we see when we teach our profit share course. And what I'd love for you to do is put in the chat notes, what are some of your limiting beliefs that's holding you back from building your profit share? So I'm going to go over a few of them. So number one is you think it's either or. Either I need to work on selling houses, or I got to stop doing that and build my profit share. And what I want to share with you is it's an and. Today, when I build my profit share, when I build my real estate business, I can and build my profit share if I know how to do that. So it's not either or, because if you think about it, the one common denominator we all have is that God only gave us 24 hours. He didn't give me 48 and you 24. So if he gave us all 24, all we have to figure out on anything we want to do in life is, what do I need to be doing in that 24, right? And so I want you to think of and what I'm doing tomorrow, and I could use that to build my profit share. And number two is I should have gotten here sooner. Now I'm going to share a story with you right after this of a young man who only decided about little over 3 years ago, that he was going to focus on profit share. And it's going to prove to you that it doesn't matter when you got here. It's when you make the decision that you're going to focus on building your profit share is when it's going to happen. So I'll share Nick's story with you in just a minute. And then number three, I'm not a recruiter. Hallelujah, because none of us are good enough to recruit anybody. We're not good enough to make a seller sell, a buyer buy, or an agent join. So we got to take that off the table. I'm not giving you magic scripts today. I'm giving you a magic formula, but I'm not giving you a magic script, because none of us are recruiters, and recruiting is done through building relationships, not through magical things you say or processes that you follow of recruiting. And then number four, it's too late for me. We get this a lot for people who've been in the business for a long time. And the truth is, you can change anything financially in about 3 to 5 years focus. And I'm going to hopefully Nick's story of how he only started 3 years ago and what he's bringing in passively will change your mind on it's too late for me. And then plus, I want to encourage you that none of us know how long we have. And if you started living your life as if you were going to live to 156, you would plan differently than if you're counting on your fingers how many years I have left. So I just always assume that I'm going to live about 150 years, and then I do all my planning accordingly. And that way I never feel like I'm running out of time for anything. And I learned this from a friend named Dan Sullivan, who calls it the lifetime extender, where if you extend your life beyond where anybody thinks it's possible, then you plan your quarters as if you're going to live that long. You do things differently. And so anybody who's challenged with that, I want to help overcome that with, let's just extend how long we think. And then number 5, I don't understand profit share. The good news is I've never really had anybody that I've brought into the company make me, especially on the front end, try to explain to them profit share or anything else. It's like the number 7 reason why anybody ever joins us. So it's not something that people really get on the front end. So don't leave this class and be all excited about profit share and try to sell it to someone else, because it's not usually their biggest value gap at the time when they join Keller Williams. It doesn't come up until usually after they're in the company. Okay, so here's the story of Nick. Nick, again, decided he grew up. Actually, if you've ever read Rich Dad, Poor Dad, let me see. First, let me go back and see. Do we have any in the chat? Do we have any? Let's see if I can find my chat. Do we have any? Let's see. Let's go back. Okay, here we go, chat. Let's see if we have any other limiting beliefs. Did anybody put another limiting belief in there? So, okay, so no, we've got a little more. So if you've got any other limiting beliefs, would you put those in the chat? And then if we can have somebody kind of help me watch that and let me know if there's okay, here's one. My limiting beliefs is that I'm not experienced enough in real estate to sway them to KW. Thank you, Christine. The good news is we don't sway anybody anywhere. We build a relationship with people. And I'm going to talk to you in a minute about, depending on where you are in the business, who you would put on your list to build that relationship with. But that's a great limiting belief, Christine, that a lot of people have, is I don't know enough to sway people to Keller Williams. And the good news is we can't sway anyone to Keller Williams. We can only get them to self-discover that what they want out of their business and their career and their lives can be better served here at Keller Williams. So thanks for bringing that up. That is one I see a lot. All right. And so I will have you put your any other limiting beliefs that pop up in the chat, and we'll if we don't cover those in the program, we'll make sure we do. So let me tell you about Nick. Nick grew up in our family. He was 3 when he came into our life. He played soccer. I mean, he went to the Montessori school with Press, my son, and they're now in their early 30s, late 20s. And Nick always loved our life. Like, he was always at our home, and he loved our conversations around business and, you know, all the things that we did. So when he grew up, he went to college to get a degree in real estate. Now, his mom's a really high-level educator at University of North Texas, very smart, very talented lady, and his dad is a big manager of some company. And so Nick chose real estate as his degree, but when he got out of real estate, he realized that he doesn't really love the selling part, but he loved the fact that we do real estate investing, and he also loved our profit share. So Nick has bought, I don't know, 8 or 9 investment properties now. And I told you he's only in his late 20s, early 30s. And he also decided about 3.5 years ago to work on his profit share. And you can see that it just kind of keeps doubling every year. And he uses a system that we teach in our profit share program on how to do just new agents, because Nick loves new agents. And I'm going to share with you my formula for how I do existing agents. But Press and Nick created a system to do just new agents. And so he talks anywhere from 2 to 5 people a day about getting into real estate business and getting in with Keller Williams. And as you can see, he's probably on target this year for about 50,000. Now, those of you that are super good at math, I would like for you to try to figure out, at the current interest rate, what Nick would have to have made, paid taxes on, had to put in savings, and earned to get that, if he makes 50,000 this year. And he made 34 or 36, I think, last year. So that would be a powerful number, and it would really amaze you at what he would have actually had to do if he hadn't chosen to treat profit share as a standalone business. So hopefully those of you that think you got here too late, Nick's story proves to you you're not. Matter of fact, Gary Keller believes that the #1 profit share earner may not even be with our company. So be careful. We don't want your limiting beliefs to hold you back. And then here's the other end of the spectrum, which is our profit share that we built over a longer period of time, but making it a focus and treating it as a standalone business. So you're going to be somewhere in between these two. And I want you to realize anything is possible just depending on which goals and dreams you want to put around profit share. But it starts with you deciding that you're going to treat profit share as a standalone business and setting a goal around that. So here's kind of my formula for recruiting existing agents. And by the way, this is exactly the same formula that I used to build my real estate practice to about 200 transactions a year. So this formula, to me, if you send me to, anywhere in the world to build anything, this would be the formula I'd pull out and use. So here's what it looks like. Who do you want to be a hero to? In the form of recruiting, what agents are you probably currently already helping inside your market center? Because we are such a giving and caring culture. You probably already helped someone in the market center. Now, Christine, you're new. So what I'm going to say to you is probably when you got licensed, there were other people that got licensed that went somewhere else. And those people are starting to realize, or if they haven't yet, you can help them realize that they're not getting very many tools as a new agent. So you might pick people that are licensed around the same time that you are. Or I always say, if you don't know who to pick a few below your production, a few at your production, and a few above your production. But no matter what you do, don't pick more than 5 to start out, because this is a muscle we want to practice and get good at working before we extend our number of people. And by the way, I only ever have 10 to 12 people on my list at any time, because I can't go deep with any more people than that. And relationships need to go deep, not surface level, right? So the first thing you have to figure out is what validity do I need to get them to be willing to open the door to a relationship? And here's the beautiful thing about validity. I always like to say everybody has it, nobody thinks they do. And then the other thing is, it doesn't have to be your validity. You could use the company's validity. You could use Gary Keller's books he's written as validity. You could use the books we've written as validity. Validity can come from a lot of different places, and it doesn't necessarily have to just be yours. But I also like to say, here's what creates validity for you: your past successes, your past failures, what you currently need to be working on. How many of you remember when you first started, you wish somebody had let you shadow them on a listing presentation? Well, that can become your validity, is that you're willing to let people, even if they're not with KW, come with you on a listing presentation. Validity is anything that makes you come higher on someone's list so that they're willing to give you their most precious asset, which is time. Now, here's the beautiful thing. I'll tell you a real quick story to prove this. When I first brought people to Keller Williams, nobody knew who Gary Keller was. He had not really done anything, and Keller Williams had not really gotten anywhere. So those people didn't come because of Gary Keller's validity. They came because we'd already spent years building a relationship with them, and they came because of our validity. And then when they got to Gary and they heard him speak and teach, his validity went up, right? So there's so many different things you can use for validity that are already inside KW that would be tools that you could use that don't even have to be your own validity. But I always say, sometimes my best validity is the things that I need to be doing right now, that while I'm doing it, I could bring someone else along with me, and it would create validity for me because I'm willing to open the door and do that. So here's a perfect example. A few weeks ago, I was at our beach house in San Diego. I had a girls' retreat for health because our RCA nutritionist lives there. And one of the girls invites a girl named Katie over, and I'd never met Katie, but Katie lives in San Diego. And her husband has viral marketing. His name is Frank. I'd never met Frank, but I'd heard of the company, but I'd never knew either one of them. And after the girls leave for the retreat, Jimmy flies into town, and we're there for another week. Katie reaches out to me and said, would we like to go to dinner with her and Frank? And I said, yes, we'd love to. So we go to dinner, and all of a sudden, after I really get to know Frank, I realize, oh my gosh, he's really smart. I can't believe I didn't know this guy already. I go home and I look in my email inbox, and I've had a bajillion emails from Frank that I have never opened because he didn't have validity. But now he has validity, right? So if I see a message with Frank's name on it, I immediately answer it. So that's what we want to create with these relationships, is the kind of validity that gets them to take our call, right? And I'm going to share with you a little bit about how to do that. And then the thing we want to do once they open that door to a relationship and we start that conversation is to figure out what's their biggest value or value gap right now. You have to be careful. Don't assume you know what someone's value is, or because of what you value, it must be what they value. You've got to ask them great questions and learn what is their value right now, what's a value to them, or what's their biggest value gap. And I always like to say this, Zig Ziglar says it best when he says, you get what you want in life by helping enough other people get what it is they want. And the key words of that is, what do they want? Not what I think they want, or I think they should want, or what I'm excited about, or what I want. How do I get to know them well enough to know what is a big value gap for them that I can help them with? And by into that value gap for them, I create this amazing motivator called beholdenness and reciprocity. And that beholdenness and reciprocity creates them to want to eventually say yes to me. And what they're going to say yes to me for is what we call a big step. So a big step might be they come to a KW class where they could self-discover. Remember, we can't sell them. They got to self-discover something at KW that they need. Or they might self-discover that it's better over here because everybody helps each other, or the tools over here are better, whatever they're going to self-discover. But I'm going to do that by dropping little things into their value gaps until I can ask them to take a big step, like mega camp, family reunion, shadow me on something, watch me do career visioning, go with me on a listing presentation, whatever I feel they would see value in is what I'm going to do. And those are bigger steps. Just offering them something is not a big step. And then I'm going to do this and give it as much time as it takes for them to self-discover that Keller Williams is the place they need to be, or maybe never self-discover. My longest recruit took 12 years. I've got one that'll probably beat her that may never come. But at the very least, I get what we call goodwill, where that person is a competitor with another company and she tells the whole world how much she loves the McKissacks and how much we helped her figure out a situation with her rental properties that really helped her. I saw her before COVID on a cruise, and she immediately came up to me and said, oh my gosh, when are we going to get back together? And so if that's the worst I get is just goodwill, I still win, because she may say to someone that is thinking about joining me that she loves us and we added value to her life and we're her mentors and coaches and whatever, all the other things she says. So I'm not attached to whether she comes or doesn't come. I can't control that. But what I can know is that she will come on her timing, not mine. Right. And this is the hardest part of the whole formula. And I remember reaching out to Gary one day saying, doesn't it drive you crazy when somebody that you know would be perfect at Keller Williams just doesn't get it? And his response was priceless. He said, no, Linda, because I'm going to be here whether they come this year or 10 years from now. And I thought, you know what? Me too. So I let go of the angst around them not getting it, or them not getting it fast enough, or I needed to say certain magical things so they would get it faster. And I just follow the process and I don't worry about how long it's going to take. And that's the hardest part, honestly, of this whole formula, is to let go and let the time be their timing, not mine. They will come when they self-discover that Keller Williams is the right place for them to meet all their dreams and their goals. And the best ways to get people to self-discover is asking great questions that make them think, stories that they can see themselves in, and experientially. And that's where they show up. So here's an example I like to use. We just had Red Day, right? So if you knew there was an agent out there that you'd already picked and they were on your list of relationship, you'd already started having validity with them, you'd already started dropping a few things in their value gap. One of the things that you could ask them to do, because you know that community service is important to them, rather than try to explain Red Day to them, you'd be better served to invite them to your Red Day. And so that's an example of picking someone that you want to be a hero to. Who do you want to build a relationship with? You got the validity. You know one of their values is community service, and you've done enough dropping in their value gap to create beholdenness for them to say yes for a big step, which is to show up and do Red Day with us. And there's no better way to explain Red Day than let them experience it. And that's where they self-discover that my company doesn't do this, or I want to be with a company that does this, or whatever they're going to self-discover. So kind of in a nutshell, I'm going to let you ask questions at the end. So if you have questions about this formula or something's not clear, because the way you're going to repay me for my time is you're going to go use this formula and you're going to report back to me and give me your success stories. And for a few of you that really want to go deeper with this, I'm going to show you at the end how you can join a course that we have that teaches you every bit about this. And then you jump on a monthly call with us once a month, and we help you do each step that you need to move to get to the nest. And we're already starting to get some amazing success stories. And then also, I have a Profit Share podcast that you can just listen to it drops on the 21st of the month that will help you also around this topic. So write your questions down about the formula, and we'll come back to it in a minute. So here's something I want to explain to you that when I realized this was really what I had been doing my whole life, I wanted to share it with so many other people. And so Dan Sullivan created this in a coaching program that I do with him. And when I saw it, I realized that, oh my gosh, if anybody wants their life to be big, this is what they have to continually do. So the first thing you have to do is make a big commitment. And the way you're going to know it's a big commitment is the minute you make it, it takes courage. And courage is a horrible place. It's not a fun place. It's uncomfortable. We don't like it, and we don't want to stay there very long. And the reason it takes courage is because the commitment we just made, we don't have all of the capabilities to pull off when we make it. So that makes us very uncomfortable, right? But what happens is we go get those credentials and that capability as fast as we possibly can because we don't like being in that uncomfortable place of courage. And then we get to a warm, fuzzy place called confidence. Well, here's the thing. Once we do that once in your life, you can recognize how your life got bigger. And what we don't want to do is go to what I call the fifth C, which is complacency. You want to go out and find that other big commitment that scares the crap out of you. And Dan explains it like this. He says, the difference between fear and courage is this. Fear is where you just wet your pants because of the commitment you told someone you would do. And courage is where you go ahead and do the commitment with those wet pants, right? You'll never not be able to remember this formula after that example, right? So we want to continually go back out and make bigger and stronger commitments that take courage, because that's how our life gets big. Our life doesn't get big by making commitments that don't take any courage. That's not how you get a big life. And I hope a few of you on here say, I want a big life. I don't want to spend 30 years or 20 years or 40 years in this business and not have a big life to show for it. And so I love this as a reminder that, yes, it was scary for me to make a commitment to make $1 million in Keller's profit share because number one, no one had ever done it. And number two, I wasn't really sure if anybody knew how to do it, but I was willing to make that commitment and then figure out the rest in activity and in movement. And so I want you to think about that as you make big commitments moving forward around your profit share. How can you make a big one that takes courage and then go figure out the capabilities afterwards? So here's just kind of a real quick, before I open it up for questions, here's kind of a snapshot. Hopefully there's some of you, I don't know if there's some of you already in our course, that would be awesome to know. But this is we haven't started it that long ago. So, and there is no start and stop date. You get the course when you buy it, you get the course online. You go through the modules as fast as you can. Maybe you're really interested in recruiting, how Nick and Press are recruiting the new agents, which by the way, I've got Ryan going to come on our podcast because he's been blowing it up with this part. Or maybe you're more interested in existing and you go to that module first. Either way, I encourage you to get through all of it. It's only 4.5 hours of content, and then jump on our calls immediately every month because we do them once a month so that we can get you in action and get you in motion. Because the way you make something a habit is you get started on it. And that's kind of a brief snapshot. I'd love for you guys to listen to our podcast. It drops on the 21st. How appropriate, right? We've already got some modules out there that are in the course, and they're out there on Apple Podcasts. You can just get it if you want to, even if you're not in the course. But we've already got some modules out there explaining the formula a little bit more. And then also we're going to start adding guests of people who are building their profit share so that you can hear other people besides Nick and besides myself and how they've done their profit share, which by the way, we do interview Nick on one of them, I believe too. So if you're interested, here's how you're going to get involved. You're going to text to the word McKissack to 33444, or you can go to profitsharemastery.com and find out more information that way. But what I'd love for you to do on this call while I'm here is we've got about another 15 or 20 minutes. Let's dive deep in the questions that you have or some of the limiting beliefs that you have around around profit share so that we can get rid of those and you can begin to take some action on building those relationships and building your profit share. I'm going to stop sharing. And what I'd love to do is let's talk about what are some of your thoughts, ahas, what jumps out at you as I talk to you in this way that this is really recruiting is about building relationships and creating beholdenness and reciprocity and letting it be about that person. Keller Williams is never, it's when someone joins Keller Williams, it's never about Keller Williams. It's about that person and what they think they can get from it. And we can't sell them on it. They have to self-discover it. And you know this already because this is how you probably do your real estate business, right? You don't go into a house and sell them every feature. You let them self-discover those features and then watch how they respond to certain features. So who's willing to be brave enough? And let's open it up to some questions around the formula, around how would you begin to start using some of this if you wanted to build your profit share and you wanted to focus more on it in 2021. Who's willing to be brave? We already saw that it's changing lives, right? Our lives. And so we want to be able to go out and change other people's lives as well as our life being changed. Who's got some specific questions that we can use to help teach other people?
I'll go.
Okay. Thank you.
So I am unlicensed. I am the agent services coordinator for our office. I'm one of the only unlicensed members of the team.
Awesome.
What would you suggest I feel like when I speak to agents that aren't in our market center, sometimes when I speak to agents that are, I feel like I don't have enough of a value to provide to them. You know what I mean? Like I'm the one they go to sometimes when they need help, not always, but I don't really know how to do that for agents that I don't know.
Okay, that's fantastic. I love it. So I would probably, is there a particular thing that you see agents struggle with over and over again?
Technology.
Technology. Okay, great. That's fantastic. So what part of technology do you feel like you can add value to people as it relates to their real estate business?
I mean, agents that aren't in KW don't have the luxury of having the awesome system that is Command. So I feel like I'm kind of trying to talk them into that. Be like, oh, well, we have this great system. They're like, yeah, I'm fine with mine.
I love it. I love it. Okay, so this is fantastic. Okay, so here's the good thing. Good news is they don't have it. Okay, so and that's perfect because what I call that is seeding. So let's say, for example, you said, okay, I'm going to go, you know what the technology does for an agent, right? Okay, so what you would teach is what is that technology that agents need to do something with their business. So what you would do is let's say you were going to do a small class on how to use technology in your business. You'd probably be so bombarded with people, right? Non-KW people, right? Then what you do is you talk about the concepts of why they want to use technology and what things they need. And then you maybe show them and say, look, this is just a system that I use. Yours may look different than this, right? I don't say the words Keller Williams. I don't say KW. I just say, look, I want to show you what your system needs to do. So whenever you pick one or you have one, this is what you want. Does this make sense to you? Do you see what I'm telling you to do, Christine?
Absolutely.
And what that does is that kind of seeds without ever pushing KW on them or selling them KW. This is what we do when we do a mastermind. If I'm doing a mastermind with a group of people, I let them pick, we take a flip chart, we let them pick the topics. And then what I do is I slowly bring things in that I have access to from KW. And I say, look, I don't know if you got, like, let's say, for example, we did business planning one time. I brought a Keller Williams business plan because I knew they probably wouldn't have one. And I said, hey, I don't know if you guys would be offended, but I brought some extra business plans in case you don't like yours or you didn't have one. And guess what? We recruited a Remax agent who had been with Remax 12 years. She eventually became a team leader of one of our offices, took it from 160 to 400 agents, all because she said her aha was, I've been with Remax 12 years. They've never given me a business plan like this. I never said the words Keller Williams or KW. They get it. They get it over time, right? And then I make them bring up Keller Williams or KW. So you use whatever you already have and you know, and then you just kind of seed. And I'm always real careful. I say, look, I'm sure you can find a system like this. I don't know what they cost or how you get them. So let me just show you as an example so that you know what your system needs to do. Does that make sense? That's how you do it. And it's what you're already helping people do inside of KW that, and then what'll happen is they'll go back to their office and they'll go, wow, nobody over here's got a system like that. Crap, I'm gonna have to pay how much? And you might even know, Christine, how much a system like that would cost them, or you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But because part of what they're going to self-discover is, oh my gosh, they get that free or $25 a month. So that's what you want to happen. That's called a fox in the hen house, right? I'm not doing anything but showing you what you should be doing, and how you get there is up to you. Or over time, they can self-discover. I could just come over there and Christine would help me with it all the time. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
But be real careful. It's got to be genuine and authentic. And you got to be not attached that if they just leave there with knowledge, that's okay. It's still going to start to eat at them. They're still going to start to get back to their office and go, crap, I'm going to have to go pay this for that. And I'm already paying this company this much. That's crap. Does that make sense? Does that help?
Absolutely. Thank you.
And by the way, it's just changing the way you think on these things. And that's why I want you to pick a few people and get that muscle going, because anybody can do this. The MCA can do this, agent services, productivity coach. If you've got a team, your assistants could do this. They just take what they have and they teach. Gary's number one recruiting tool is teaching. I love teaching, right? You're already doing it inside the market center. So Kathy asked, you mentioned that you stay around 10 people at a time. Do you group them or give them individual attention? It's all individual. This is very personal. When you're building a relationship, it has to be personal. Now, the only time I would do a group is if I was doing a mastermind. Then I would group like-minded production and all that together. But if I've got them on my board, I'm always looking for a reason to connect with them. I'll give you a couple of little examples. One girl, I know for a fact that she's overworked and overloaded because she is doing about 140 transactions with no assistant. So I just took a picture of her cute dog and had my assistant frame it, and we mailed it to her with a nice note and said, this dog is so darn cute, and I don't know if you had time to frame it, so we framed it for you. She said it sits by her bed and she looks at it every night. So every night she looks at that dog, she thinks of me, right? I've also, when I was teaching business planning, in the front of it, it talks about all the reasons why people don't hire somebody. And number 7 or whatever was, you think no one can do it as good as you. I circled that, took a snapshot and texted it to her. I'm just always doing little things. Think about if you were wanting to build a relationship with someone, all you do is add value. You just add value here and there. And so you're going to do that enough that you create beholdenness, so that when I ask them to take a big step, see, all those people that went to see Gary early on, they didn't know who Gary Keller was. I had created enough beholdenness, Jim and I had, that they were willing to go wherever I asked them to go, because they trusted me and they valued our relationship, and they knew I was always in it for trying to add value to their life. So, Kathy, I hope that helps. Is there anybody else that's a great question, Christine. Thank you for opening us up with that. Who else has a question around either something that might be holding you back on how would I do it, or who would I pick, or how could I figure out my validity? Any of those type questions. That's what I'd love to answer while we still have time. Who's got another burning question that you're willing to ask? Because if you've got it, somebody else has probably got it too.
I actually have another question. Sorry.
Perfect.
So you have your list of people. Is there ever a point in time, or has there been a point in time where you kind of stop working on them? Like terminated the relationship that you've built with them?
The only way I would is if I find out really bad ethical things about them. and I really believe that they wouldn't be a fit, then I'm not going to do anybody any good to bring them on. Uh, then I would probably not put that person on. But if it's other than that, um, I've gotten hotter and colder on people, but no, they're not. They don't usually go off my list unless they do something unethical. That's a good question, though.
It looks like Kathy popped another question there in the chat. When you meet with someone, what is the first question you ask?
Oh, this is great. Thank you, Kathy, for asking this. Well, first of all, my conversation starters is two things. One, a compliment. It has to be genuine and real. You can't make this stuff up. That's not going to work. People feel if you're not authentic. So a genuine compliment, or asking them their thoughts and their input, because nobody ever gets enough compliments and nobody minds a new one, and nobody ever gets asked enough, what do you think, or what are your thoughts, or what's your input? So those are my two favorite ways to start a conversation. If I was already meeting them somewhere, I would probably just drop into, I'd still probably give them a compliment. I'd say, hey, Kathy, I just want to tell you how much I appreciated doing the deal over at 123 Main Street. Appreciate a genuine compliment, professionalism or responsiveness or whatever I'm going to compliment her on. And then I might just say, hey, while I have you here, I admire you as an agent. I'm just curious, what are some of the challenges you've had this year in the business? I know it's been kind of a crazy year. And then I'm going to just shut up and let them mention something. And con in Spanish means with, so I need to throw in a little bit something. So it's not just a versation and I'm drilling them with questions, but I'm going to let them talk 80 to 90. My goal is to get them to talk 80 to 90% of the time. And I'm listening for value, or what's a value to them, or what's a value gap that they have. So let's say Kathy might say to me, well, you know what, getting listings has been super hard this year. I'm like, oh, I hear you. Yeah, we've really had to work hard to get more great listings. Now I'm going to leave that first conversation at that. And when I call Kathy back, I'm going to say, hey, Kathy, this is Linda. I was thinking about our conversation the other day. And one of the things that you said you were really struggling with that we talked about was that getting, more listings. So I listened to a panel the other day, and I don't know if you'd be interested or not, but I have some pretty good notes about some of the ideas that other top agents are doing. And if you wouldn't be offended, I'd be happy to share those with you. Kathy's going to say, what? Oh, God, of course. Yes, please. Great. Well, here's the thing. I can either email those over to you, or if you're interested, I don't know how you feel about getting out. I need a coffee at about 2:00 in the afternoon, every afternoon. I can meet you over here on Washington Street, and we could have a cup of coffee, and I'll be happy to share with you what some of the details were on these ideas. Which will you be more interested in, or which one would you like? And I'm not going to push, but even if I just send it to them, then I'm going to call in another week or so and say, hey, we've tried a couple of these, or I had some more ideas around some of those ideas. If you're interested, I'd be happy to meet you for a coffee and share them with you. So, I may have to do a lot of little value dripping for a while before they say yes, but I'm okay with that. I'll just go back to always dropping into their value gap until they do say yes to a big step. Did that help? Cool. What else do we have? Yeah. So the questions really start with, to start the conversation really is one thing. And then the questions I ask is, what's a challenge you've had? What's been a struggle this year? What do you wish you had more training on, or something? I know for me, and if I ask something like that, that's not kind of appropriate for what the conversation should be right now, then I say, I know for me, I was looking for training the other day on how to get more listings. I might throw a little something in so that she feels comfortable answering my question. Somebody said, when you were still doing sales, how much time did you dedicate to focus on profit share, or did it fluctuate? Honestly, always, because here's the thing. I didn't even know I was doing it, but I was always helping other people, and I was always teaching, and I was always reaching my hand out to someone else. And I didn't know it, but that 20 years prior was preparing me for profit share. So you're doing it always, and you're doing it by doing kind things for other agents. My assistant that just joined me, she was from Tacoma, Washington. She said she was always sending a little Starbucks card to other agents And right now you should be doing this kind of stuff anyway if you want your offer at the top of the pile anyway. So, but it's also going to create beholdenness and validity because you're willing to be nice and kind to other people. So I would be doing it already all day long already. I mean, I'd always be looking for a way I could send a nice note, a thank you, a picture of something, anything of value. Always be looking for things of value. And by the way, it'll make you go to training differently now. Now you're going to keep files that have to do around certain subjects that you start hearing over and over that these people have gaps and they need, and they want, that's of value to them right now. So how do you choose what goes on your list? It's a great question. I choose, who do I enjoy helping? Who gives me energy? And this is a great question, because if people don't give you energy, you're not going to keep at it. See, I don't love the new people because I want to stick a hose from my head to theirs because of how much they don't know. So that's not my favorite people. They drain my energy. So that's why Press and Nick, they work on those people. What I love is the agent that's a mega agent, or what I like to call an untouchable, that you would look out in the world and say they don't have any problems. So there's no way they're going to come to Keller Williams because they're happy where they are and they don't got any value gaps. Those are my favorite, because I know everybody has value gaps and everybody has something that's of value to them that they would love to have someone step into that gap or help them with. So those are my favorite because they give me energy. So that's one of the first things you have to ask yourself. That's why I said, who do you already help in the marketplace that you love helping? Ask yourself, who could I help for the next 25 years? Or selfishly think, who do I need to help around what topic that I need to do better? If you need to do better lead generation, go find other agents out there that would love to shadow you while you do your lead generation. You'll get really good at lead generation if people are sitting around you watching you while you do it. And by the way, they'll get value too, because nobody else is willing to open the curtain and let them see. So how many of you, when you were a new agent, would have loved for someone to let you shadow them on lead generation or on the listing appointment or anywhere else? Gary Keller's used this strategy forever. He'll bring you an agent in and they get to sit beside him and watch him do his lead gen and his consulting calls all day. And by the way, you get value and he creates more validity for himself. And if you've got, how many of you have a productivity coach or a MATS coach? Why wouldn't you invite someone to come sit beside you when you get your MATS coaching and make it the topic that you know they need the most? I mean, there's so many ways to do this. And this is why I say we've got to once you get your mind around this, you will see these ideas and things that you didn't see before, but we haven't worked this muscle. And so it's going to be a little harder on the front end, but once you get this muscle working, you'll start to see tons of opportunity that you didn't see before. It's just that we haven't spent a lot of time and energy on it yet. So it's not, I bet if you were in a chair at a barbershop or a hair salon and somebody talks to you next door about a listing, man, you'll be right on that. You'll hear that from 500 yards away. Well, this will happen here too on profit share. You'll immediately see an opportunity that you didn't see before once you get used to working this muscle. So how do I choose who goes on my list? Who gives me energy? Who could I help every day, all day, and never get tired of it? And who do I get energy from when I do help? That's how I pick. So I would encourage you to do the same thing. And start out, like I said, if you can't decide who that is, pick a few at, a few above, and a few below your production. That's a good, safe place to start. And then you'll start to pay attention to who do you get energy from when you help? Who gives you energy from helping? So who else has a question? Who else has a burning question around how to use this formula to build your profit share? These have been great questions, and I promise you they're helping a lot of other people, because they probably, if they didn't have them, they would have had them 5 minutes after they left the conversation. If there's no more questions, I'll leave with one last thing. One of the big fears that people have, and if you hadn't had it already, you might have it once you leave this call, so I want to go ahead and address it, is what if somebody says to me, well, you're just trying to recruit me, right? We always want to think of what's the worst script objection you could get and have a script ready for that, right? So I'm going to go ahead and give you the one that is the worst, that you won't get if you're following this formula correctly, unless you've done it wrong in the past or someone else has done it wrong in the past. Then you might have somebody that has their radar up. So here's what I say. Let's say, for example, if Christine said to me, I'm following the formula. And Christine said to me, well, Linda, you're just trying to recruit me. Well, here's the thing I immediately want to think, okay, wait, did I get off of Linda's formula? Because Linda's formula has nothing to do with recruiting anybody, right? It's building a relationship and adding value. Okay, so am I doing something wrong? If the answer is truly no, I swear, Linda, I'm sticking to the formula. Then the only other thing it could be is either you've approached this person incorrectly in the past and tried to sell them and tell them on KW, or someone else has, right? That's okay. Here's what I would say. I would say, Christine, here you're exactly the kind of agent that I want to be in business with someday. And I hope that someday you and I could be at the same company. But here's what I know for sure. If you ever have a dream or a goal that you feel like's better served with the tools here at KW, girl, I won't have to recruit you. You'll be knocking our door down. And then I'm going to go right back to talking about what we were talking about before, which was Christine and helping her. And that's exactly how you do it. And it takes the air out of it, because if I don't teach you this, you're going to start selling and telling Keller Williams the minute they say that. And that's the worst thing you can do, because that's just validating what they just accused you of. And remember, none of us are good enough to recruit an agent. Sell a seller or buy a buyer, right? So you don't want to sell and tell like that. Does that make sense? All right. So I've got you armed with the worst objection you could get, so you don't have to worry about that anymore. Last minute chance to get anything else off your worry list, so that you can go out and begin to start building these great relationships and build your profit share. Trust me, your kids are going to grow up and realize that there was a thing called profit share that was willable, and they're going to be real upset that you decided it was too late, too hard, too much time consuming, whatever else. I know my son would be super mad. He's the one that co-teaches the profit share course with me, and he'd be really upset if he got in and realized that we didn't treat this seriously. Anybody else? Last chance. And remember, the way you're going to repay me is you're going to reach out to me at McKissack@kw.com or through our Profit Share Mastery. There's a link in there to reach out to me also, and tell me, how is the formula working for you? And it could be in your business, or it could be building your profit share. I hope it's for building your profit share, because we need to take advantage of this gift that we've been given and go build wealth while we change lives. But you can reach out and kind of share with me your ahas or how it's working for you. And I always love getting those, because that tells me that spending my time really has paid off and changed somebody else's life. Stephanie says, thank you. We appreciate your taking the time to speak to our Market Center. I'm happy to. This is my favorite topic. It gives me energy to talk about. I never get tired of it. I could do it for the next 25 years. So thank you guys. I appreciate your time. And hopefully I'll see some of you over in the Profit Share Mastery course. We're having a great time. Anybody here already in the course? If you are, kind of chat it up and let me know that you're in it. But if not, we'd love to see some of you there. Whoever's decided that 2021 is going to be the year you don't just talk about this, but you do something about it, we'd love to see you over there. And it's not super expensive. It's reasonable, and you get the course forever. And then you jump on our calls once a month, and we help you as long as you need help. So you get to learn from everybody else, just like a little bit like we did today. Stephanie says one of the agents, Les, is in there. Awesome. Great. Well, you guys have an awesome day. I got another Zoom to jump on. And again, remember, you're going to go build wealth, but you're going to change a lot of people's lives, just like your life was changed. So go change lives.